Call the January 10th, 2019 meeting to order. First item of business is approval of the minutes from December 13th. Any changes or additions? Next item is citizen comments. This would be on non-agenda items. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have a couple of What?
Well,
Oh, well,
we can miss that.
I don't know if I want to hear from Kim. Financial statement, yeah. I don't know if I want to hear from Kim. Go ahead, Kim.
If you want to just approve it, you can just approve it.
That's not ours, Kim.
Let's go right over you.
This is a report of the revenue and expenditure activities for the city of Hayes, month ended November 30, 2018. Revenues in November totaled $1,869,199. That's a decrease of $15,853 compared to the same period as last year. Notable areas of increased revenue compared to November of 17. Court fines were up $8,725 when compared to this time last year. Some notable areas of revenue decrease. Combined month-to-date residential and business water consumption fell a negative 5.5% when compared to this time last year. That translates into an increase in water revenue, 2.37, and conservation down negative 37%. Year-to-date, residential and business consumption is off just a negative 2.3, with revenue up 2.34 year-to-date. Local alcoholic liquor tax was off $92,583. That's compared to a year ago simply due to the timing of the receipt of that distribution from the state. Expenditures in November totaled $1,992,261. That's an increase of $156,694. Notable areas of increased expenditures. Airport contingency expenditures were up $11,556 due to the purchase of terminal seating. Bickle-Schmidt Sports Complex general supplies increased $10,204 due to the installation of windscreens at the Southwest Quad. City Commission capital reserve expenditures were up $39,185 due to the approved transfer for design of the 4th Street reconstruct. Stormwater professional services increased $8,964 due to a study conducted at 27th and Thunderbird, and water reserve expenditures were up $386,000 due to the sandblast and repaint of the water towers. The notable areas of decreased expenditure: airport general supplies were down $21,340 due mainly to the purchase of marking paint glass beads at this time a year ago. Public Works Service Division general supplies dipped $15,438 due to the purchase of crushed concrete material and restock of signage supplies at this time last year. And you'll notice a credit in the projects line for Special Parks and Rec. Matching funds of $49,988 from HRC were received there in anticipation of the purchase of playground equipment for the Bickle-Schmidt Sports Complex. Month to date, general fund sales tax collections were at $582,257. That's an increase of $13,000 or 2.3% compared to a year ago. Year-to-date general fund collections are at $6,556,000, up $32,700 or 0.5%. Also, the 6-month moving average at 1.3% continues to be positive for the sixth month in a row. Report of quarter-to-date sales tax collections by industry classification was down $20,775 or a negative 1%. New and used car dealers were down at almost 12%. That decrease looked to be a combination of 3 major dealerships in town. And also telecommunications was down significantly at 39.5%. We believe that to be a timing issue with sales tax submissions. However, we'll keep an eye on that one. Finally, the portfolio certificates of deposit on November 30 totaled $44.85 million with a weighted average interest rate of 2.18. That is now up a full 1% from a year ago. Our value on the portfolio of Treasury notes was $7.707 million with a weighted average yield to maturity of 1.78. Total balance of the money market account on November 30 was $3 million with a current yield of 0.5. And total investments are down $1,393,000 when compared to this time last year.
I'll make a motion that we accept the November 2018 financial statement.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Mellick, seconded by Commissioner Musil. Any questions or discussion? Nope. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Next item is the consent agenda with a few appointments for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
A motion by Commissioner Schwaller, second by Commissioner Jacobs. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Next up, we have a Sister Cities update. Come on down.
Good evening.
We just need you to state your name for the record.
I
I'll
will-
get you on that one.
I'm about to get there. Mayor Meyer, commissioners, city manager Daugherty. My name is Mehran Shahidi. I'm an administrator at Forte State University, recruiting international students and integrating international students into American culture. And I love working with the students, and I'm proud to be an educator. Next to all these things I have just mentioned, I am a member of Hayes Sister City Committee. I've been doing it for, 5, 6 years now. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today to share results of a meeting that I held while in China on October 31st, Halloween Day in the morning. And it happened at 7:30 in the morning because the mayor of the city of Shenzhen didn't have time. For 2 days I waited. Finally, he gave me time at 7:30, and the meeting took about 40 minutes. As a representative of Hayes, as well as Forte State University, I met this gentleman, Mr. Ma, and as you know, we have Santa Maria in Paraguay next to Shenzhen in Henan province in China. The purpose of the meeting was to introduce Sister Cities International, the city of Hayes, and Forte State University to the new mayor of Shenzhen, who has been in the role for less than 2 years. And I've heard a lot about that gentleman through a couple other people in the city by using different translators. And that guy is very, very capable and very busy, as the same way that you guys are. The meeting was very positive. Translators, I had 2 of them, and that they really helped me. They were given to me by Vice President at CIAS International University, who is a Fortes graduate. It was really, really an exciting meeting. I enjoyed every single second of it. As you know, Shenzhen and Hayes Sister City relationship began in October 5th, 2004, under Mayor Sunol Corner. The city of Hayes has hosted at least 3 or maybe more delegations from the city of Shenzhen, and there have been 3 or more delegations from Hayes that have visited Shenzhen in Henan province. That is not including all of the people from Forte State University that traveled to Shenzhen to serve students at CIAS. The outcomes of these visits have been to consider these elements: economic development, educational exchanges, and citizen-to-citizen friendship and diplomacy, which is the goal of Sister City International, that the idea was brought to us by President Eisenhower. The Hayes Public Library has been an active supporter of the Sister City relationships by putting together exhibits for the public. I'm very proud of that too. And thank you, Hayes Library. During my meeting, I delivered a key from the city of Hayes at your request and invited them to Hayes with the letter prepared by you, Mayor Meyer. They have kindly and enthusiastically accepted the invitation. At this time, they don't know when the visit will take place, and in return, they are inviting you to Shenzhen for the International University of CIAS International University 20th anniversary celebration on May 25th, 2019. This is for our next mayor. This is something that it would be, I was told that more than 1,000 people are invited to that gathering. They hope that you will send a delegation to the city for tours and meetings, as well as to participate along with Fort Hays State University for this anniversary celebration. City of Sinjin has got 600,000. The population is 600,000. That's the smallest city. And we are 20,000. We are the smallest too. So we fit each other well. Thank you for this opportunity to represent you, Mayor, at this meeting, and I hope that you will seriously consider accepting the invitation for a personal visit. Any question at this moment you might have for me?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate the update.
I would like to a bit, come on, may I? Okay. For your information, a board member of Sister Cities International and Kansas State Representative for Sister Cities is here in this meeting, Ms. Cindy Elliott, sitting right over there, and she's also working at Fort Hays State University. Melissa Dixon, a member of Sister City Hayes, has also joined us. Brittany and Rob, they have joined us to support the talk. As you may recall, Hayes received an award for the Outstanding Sister City of the Year for cities our size. The next annual conference will be in Houston, July 17 to 19 in July, and it will be coincide with the special sessions with the National League of Cities, or so. Cindy has got a little bit update about that. If you don't mind, I would like to ask Cindy here to talk about maybe 3-4 minutes about that. Mayor? Sure. Cindy Elliott, please.
I lost the bet on that one. Thank you, Mayron. I was elected to the board of Sister Cities International a few years ago, and I did not realize truly the beginnings of this organization here in the state of Kansas. President Eisenhower established Sister Cities International on September 11, 1956. For people-to-people, city-to-city, individual-to-individual exchange. He never wanted another world war. So it's been kind of exciting to see how that has grown. There are over 525 different sister cities relationships around the world. So I think Mayron mentioned National League for Cities, so that's a question I have for you. Is the city of Hayes a member of National League of Cities?
We
Okay.
were a member about 18 years ago. The annual dues are quite costly, and so we let our membership lapse. We also didn't benefit much from their meetings, but nevertheless.
Well, I just learned in a conference call this afternoon that Sister Cities International and the National League of Cities is forging a partnership. And Sister Cities International will be taking over the development of the international thread at their annual conferences. And National League of Cities will be also honoring and supporting the China-U.S. Mayors Summit meeting, which will be in Houston in July at the same time as the Sister Cities Conference, July 17 and 19. This is the 60th anniversary of U.S.-China relationships. So, maybe another reason and opportunity for the city leadership to be a part of that meeting.
Cindy, I'd be interested in knowing what that cost is today, and also, from your perspective, what is the benefit to the city to joining that? And, just present us something at the same time you tell us what the cost would be.
For joining National League of Cities, okay.
I have no idea.
That would be up to us, and I remember it was about $6,000 to $10,000.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I checked. Usually it's based on population, and they usually have a formula
Okay,
that they
thank
determine,
you.
and it's been a long time since I've looked.
Okay,
And
thank you.
I don't know that much about membership in National League for Cities, but I just know about this partnership, Sandy, that is underway. But I can certainly get you meeting about this special mayor's summit meeting that's going to be taking place.
Thank you.
And it may be that the two organizations are going to co-locate it at some point in Washington, D.C. It was the Xinjiang Hayes Sister Cities relationship is special because of the partnership we have with the two universities. But it was, you think about Xinjiang with a population of 600,000, which is a small city by China standards. And I don't know if there's anyone on the commission now that has visited China before.
The
But
last delegation was when now State Representative Barbara Wassinger visited with President Emeritus Edward Hammond. And that was in 2006.
yeah, I can't quote exactly what that date was, but yes, she has been on that graduation delegation. This year, will be the 20th anniversary of the partnership, and so they will pull out all the red carpet, and it will be a glorious celebration. And if you haven't seen a performance that have been organized by Chinese performers, it would be something to. And I think, as Mayron said, their meetings could be organized for economic development, for other citizen diplomacy. So if there's an interest in that, we can work with you in putting that together.
Great, thank you so much.
This is a small little video, which is a very short one. This is the letter that came from Mayor James Meyer. And it was English and Chinese. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Aaron.
Cindy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda is the Hayes Rec pool reimbursement request.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jeff Boyle, Director of Parks. Last week, we discussed a couple of items at our joint meeting. One of the items that needs to move forward for formal approval by the Commission is the pool reimbursement request. Go through a few things. Attendance was up slightly for 2018, about 1,432 more participants this year than in 2017. Wilson Pool had 286 more participants. This particular graph here is just showing the Hayes Aquatic Park attendance. July was down significantly, but the other 3 months were all up, so.
Hey, Jeff, I have a question, and I tried reading through this to figure out how you break this down, but on the attendance, how many of those are like, I don't know how to ask this, you have a lot of them that have passes.
Mhm.
But how do you track, like, I guess, new attendance? Like somebody just comes in and pays, other than a pass? I mean, do
That
they
would be a
track that?
Roger question. I don't.
And I apologize, I
Lord.
wasn't here last week, but I was just trying to put some numbers together in my head, and do you guys track that to where somebody just comes in and pays and not, because I know a lot of people, my family always has a pass.
Yeah, we do. On the spreadsheet, I think that was included in your packet, I think there's a pass list down at the bottom. It's tallied. And I don't know that number off the top of my
Okay,
head.
well,
We can break it down and get it for you, though.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I tried breaking it down, and okay, maybe that's my bad, so. Okay, I was just curious.
If not, I mean, we can get it to you for
Okay,
sure.
thank you.
I know season passes were up significantly in 2018, and the general admission was down slightly, so I think they were kind of offsetting each other.
Sure.
This is the Hayes Recreation Pool operation. Far right column is the 2018 numbers. So revenue was 224,388, which is roughly where we're typically at. Direct expenses were in the general ballpark. Administrative expenses were general ballpark. Total loss to Hayes Rec for 2018 was 39,337.40. And by contract, the city is responsible or has agreed to pay 50% of the loss up to a stop loss of $26,000 for the Hayes Recreation Commission. So those are kind of how the numbers came together for 2018. First two columns are the attendance for Wilson and the Aquatic Park since 2000. Again, up slightly at both facilities. The reimbursement request for 2018 is 19,668.70. And again, that column shows the previous reimbursement request since 2000. Total annual cost of the city is the final column. And you'll see that in 2018, that number is rather large. That does include the aquatic play feature. And as you recall, that was paid for at a pool sales tax reserve. So the actual loss to the city, if you take that out, is about $113,000, which is right in line with what we've seen in years past. So if you're in agreement with it, we're requesting to pay the Recreation Commission $19,668.70 for the 2018 pool loss.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the pool reimbursement request from the Hayes Recreation Commission for 2018 pool loss amount of $19,668.70 with funding from the contractual services line item of the 2018 general fund pool budget.
I'll second.
A motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Melick. Any questions, comments?
Yes, my only question, and I brought this up last year, and I was definitely outvoted on this, but it's just, the reason I asked the question earlier, my question was, and I don't think it would even have a dent in it, but is if we raise those rates up $1, I guess my question is how much would it pull that down? That's why I was trying to get those numbers before, but I should have requested that.
Yeah, on the spreadsheet, which we'll get to you, it has broken down by like 3 to 17, because they're $3 to get in the aquatic park, and then adults 18 and above are $4. So I know we have that all broke down on that spreadsheet, so we could put those numbers together.
Your personal opinion, if we raised it, do you think it would hurt attendance?
I don't think so, but there again, we raised it, what was it? We raised the adults probably 3 or 4 years ago, if memory serves me right. So,
Right.
I mean, we are affordable. It's a great place to go, and
It is.
and you know, our season passes. We do the early bird special this time of year till the pool opens, and it's a really good pass for a person. So.
Roger, is the rate for Wilson the same as it is for the aquatic park?
No, it's $1 less. So adults are $3 and kids 3 to 17 are $2.
You did a great summer there.
Yeah, we did.
Second best. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good work.
So thanks.
We'll get that information put together and get it to you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Both.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Next item is annexation of property located at 183 Bypass and West 33rd.
Good evening, Jesse Rohr, Director of Public Works. Going to visit with you tonight about an annexation request for property located at local general location of 183 Bypass and West 33rd Street. This is located on the west side of Hayes along the 183 Bypass. It's about halfway between the 41st Street and 27th Street intersections. Here's a little closer view of the property. You can see the blue outline property, very irregularly shaped property.
We got it.
Can't get that one out tonight.
Glad you said it.
This property was previously, it's been vacant for several years, but it was previously the Ball Mobile Home Park. A little closer shot yet. This shows the location of the city limits, which indicates that this is a non-contiguous annexation. The non-contiguous nature of this tract does make the process of annexation a little different than ones we've done more recently. I'll talk about that process in more detail in just a minute. I do want to mention that the properties on the west side of the bypass are generally zoned agricultural, including the property that's being proposed for annexation. Across the highway to the east, there are some residential zone properties, some commercial zone properties as well. And I will note that a request for zoning has not been submitted and is not anticipated for the tract proposed to be annexed. I mentioned the property is not contiguous. It does lie within about 500 feet or so from the current city limits. There is city sewer service available to the property if it is annexed. There is a potential plan for city water to be extended to the property by the developer at no cost to the city. And I also mentioned that the property is in the 100-year floodplain, so any development would have to comply with the FEMA floodplain regulations. I mentioned the process of annexation for this since it is not currently abutting city limits. It is kind of a three-step process, and state statute requires that the first step, the reason we're here tonight, is to request from the city commission approval of a resolution requesting the county commission to make a determination that the property will not prohibit growth of any other city. Obviously, there's no other city contiguous with this property, or will not be a hindrance to proper growth and development otherwise. Second step, assuming that the property, the resolution is approved by you tonight, would be to go forward to the county commission, ask them to make their findings by resolution, and if they do so, then we'd bring it back here for the standard annexation ordinance that you typically see. This has the proposed date layout, assuming the process goes as expected. So your options tonight, either approve the resolution requesting determination from Ellis County, or do not approve resolution. And this would be the action requested if you so choose.
Make a motion, we approve resolution number 2019-001, requesting a resolution from the Ellis County Commission determining if the requested annexation of the property along Highway 183 bypass and West 33rd Street as legally described in the resolution is indeed advisable as required by KSA 12-520C.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Musil, second by Commissioner Schwaller. Any comments, questions?
Jesse, on the water line, will that be brought up, or will it be to a standard that if anything else would develop along there, that it would handle it, that we wouldn't have to upgrade it at a later date?
Yes, it would be extended to at a minimum, an 8-inch city main that would allow other connections and tie-ons for other properties and extensions at a later date.
They also need a fire hydrant.
Yes, it will require fire
Well,
service
they have to have a big line.
the property as well.
Thank you.
Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse.
Next item is East 41st Street improvements.
Good evening, Commissioners. John Brown, the project manager for the city. The Transportation Development District for the Home Depot includes a 3/4% sales tax that covered some of the improvements, infrastructure improvements when Home Depot was built, and also allows for Phase 2 improvements, which might include the extension of 41st Street east of Home Depot. Discussion of a Phase 2 project began a little over a year ago, and in March, Driggs Design Group was hired to perform design and develop bid documents. The proposed improvements include the construction of a 25-foot wide, 2-lane, 8-inch thick concrete road with a crushed concrete base and 3-foot wide gravel shoulders. It would be similar in design to Commerce Parkway. It would have a double 4x7 reinforced concrete box culvert where the road would cross Chitola Creek. It would have a 6-foot wide concrete sidewalk along the south side of the road, the whole length of the project. And it would include the extension of a 12-inch water line the entire extent of the project. Bids were opened on December the 11th from 5 bidders listed here. All bids were reviewed by city staff and Driggs Design Group, and the low bid from Paul Wertenberger Construction of Hayes is in the amount of $692,133.50 has been determined to be the valid low bid and below the engineer's estimate. A more detailed tabulation of the bids is in your packet. Based on the low bid, plus the engineering cost of $19,778, the total project cost is currently $711,911.50. The finance director will be presenting funding options for this project to include bonding or the use of idle funds and a resolution authorizing those costs following my presentation. The current schedule calls for construction to begin in March and be completed within 120 working days. Inspection of the project would be completed in-house. So the commission had the options of accepting the low bid from Paul Wurtenberg Construction or directing staff to another option. And the action requested is on the screen.
Mr. Chairman, I move we authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Paul Wurtenberger Construction Incorporated, the amount of $692,133.50 for the construction of improvement to East 41st Street adjacent to Vineyard Park, be funded from the TDD Sales Tax Fund.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Commissioner Schwaller, seconded by Commissioner Jacobs. I'll be voting no on the motion tonight. I think that this is a project that's in search of a problem. I think that if these funds had to come out of the general fund, there is no way that we would ever be building a street to nowhere, out in the middle of nowhere, along with the water line. I think that this money would be better spent by the taxpayers of Hayes and the people who shop in that district. I think it would be beneficial to that district to see a decrease in sales tax of 0.75%. I am wholly and fully against this. I think that this is a mistake. I think that years from now that it will be viewed as a mistake, and I will be voting no.
Well, Mayor, I read your comments from last week's meeting, and I appreciate them, and I think they're well thought out and they're well founded. I will say that when we built, we entered into agreement with Home Depot and the developer, that this has been planned since the beginning. It was probably the most difficult part of it, because we actually had to get a letter from Home Depot saying that they supported this tax and that they would continue to support it if indeed they did pay it off early. And our goal then, as it is now, was to connect Vine Street to Commerce Parkway. And when KDOT, Kansas Department of Transportation, had money, we were going to use this as a match to build it out. I don't, with due respect, and I understand your point, absolutely, this isn't a road to nowhere. Because it is our intention to see growth happen to the north and particularly to the east. And that is why we took an option on a piece of ground at the other end of this road. I do respect what you say, and I hear you. And if we had not agreed to this in 2005 or 6, I would be with you. But this is something that we planned for a long time, and that is why I'm voting for it.
Yeah.
But thank you.
And to be clear, I respect those of you who want to vote for this. I do understand your reasoning for it. It's just, to me, it's somewhat disappointing that for the past 4 to 5 years, we've had discussions about what comes first. Is it the development and then the infrastructure, or is it the infrastructure and then the development? And it just seems to me that through those conversations, we've come to the clear conclusion that putting in streets and water and sewer does not give us development. And I think that this is exactly what we're doing here. We're spending money on infrastructure in the hope that something will develop, and there's absolutely no evidence to show that that's going to happen. But that's my position.
I actually, I wasn't here last week. I read your comments, and it got me to thinking quite a bit. And I somewhat agree with you, but I wasn't here, the information you have. But I believe we will have development out there, whether it's when I'm on the commission or not. I think it's going to be after that. But I think in time, if we don't do it now, that in time you're going to ask the city commission that you pay for that road to be what we're doing now out of the general fund. And I don't think that's fair to future commission. And I don't think it's a road to nowhere. I think there will be development out there, hopefully sooner than later. So that's, I've thought about this a lot this week, but I believe I will be voting for it also.
I'll be voting in favor, as I stated last week. I do believe that that we are looking at the possibility of some development out there. Whether it's commercial or residential doesn't make a lot of difference to me. I do think in the purchase of the property, we had the option on out east. I think we were making a statement in that. And I would love to see it go all the way from Vine Street to Commerce Parkway. Having the funds and the ability to do it now with the funds the way it is with the TDD money, I think is a very good way to do it, and I'll be voting yes.
And I'll be voting yes also. When I look at this, I don't look at it as a road to nowhere. I look at this as a bridge to somewhere. You can't develop on either side of the actual road. I think this is a bridge out to where a developer will be able to afford to put in housing or even commercial. We have two large tracts of ground on the north part of the city and south of 41st that hasn't been developed. And the reason it hasn't been developed is because they want too much money for it. The key to affordable housing starts with affordable land. And I think this gives another possibility of some affordable land and hopefully some affordable housing.
And I agree with that.
Yeah, and I hope that you're right. I mean, I hope that for the sake of the community that's right. I just think that when we have seen this happen in the past, the land doesn't stay affordable. The land goes sky high because now there's $700,000 that the developer doesn't have to pay for. But with that, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Passes 4-1. And then next item is a resolution authorizing the re-improvement of 41st Street.
Good evening, Commissioners. Kim Rupp, Director of Finance. Now that the project manager has presented you with the bids for Phase 2 of the TDD, I'm here to present a resolution authorizing the costs and providing for payment thereof. Before that, however, I thought I'd quickly review the TDD. As indicated on the map by the black box, the current Home Depot Transportation Development District includes Home Depot, IHOP, Hampton Inn, Town Place Suites, JT Travel Plaza, Taco Grande, which used to be the Schlotzsky's there, and a yet-to-be-developed area to include 47,000 square feet of retail space. Way back when, Ordinance 3656, excuse me, authorized projects, Phase 1 and Phase 2, in the amount of $4.4 million, and the TDD sales tax of 0.75%, commencing on April 1 of 2005. The city then issued $1.77 million in TDD sales tax bonds to finance a portion of the total Home Depot TDD projects, referred to as Phase 1. The TDD statute allowed for bonds to be issued a maximum term of no more than 22 years. That allowed the TDD sales tax to be in place for a maximum of 22 years as well. The 3/4 cent TDD sales tax in that district outperformed initial projections, and therefore the 2004 TDD bonds financing the Phase 1 improvements in that area were called early and completed in January of 2018. Special Counsel Kevin Wempe with Gilmore & Bell has determined that based on the provisions of state statute, the sales tax may remain after the 2004 bonds are paid off, shall expire the earlier of when the aggregate amount of $4.4 million in TDD sales tax has been collected, or March 31 of 2027, which is 22 years after commencement. He also agreed that the TDD sales tax may continue to be spent toward the projects authorized by Ordinance 3656, which encompass that Phase 2. So that gets us to the resolution presented tonight. The resolution is multifaceted in that it allows the project authorization, financing authority, and reimbursement provisions. Project authorization deems the improvements necessary and defines them as grading, pavement, storm sewer, and water line along East 41st Street, east of Home Depot to Vineyard Park as presented by the project manager. Financing authority allows the estimated cost of the project, which includes construction, engineering, acquisition, contingency, and costs of issuance, to be paid from the proceeds of general obligation bonds or any other available city idle funds, and then repaid with the TDD sales tax revenue. The latter, the city idle funds, is an option city finance staff would like to pursue now that we know how bids came in. Financing with city idle funds would save bond issuance costs and also provide interest income to the city. While not necessary, city finance staff would like to come back with a resolution authorizing the use of the city funds for this project at a later date. The resolution would provide for an adjusted interest rate equal to 0.25% over the prevailing weighted average interest rate on the portfolio of CDs. Currently, that'd put us around 2.5%. The resolution also evidences the current commission's intent using idle funds for this project, should future commissions require that proof. And you may recall we did something very similar to this back in August of 2014 for a storm sewer project. Finally, the reimbursement section of the resolution simply states that city intends to make capital expenditures on or after the adoption of this document and allows it to reimburse itself for such with the proceeds of the previously mentioned general obligation bonds or other available city idle funds. Over the last 163 months, the TDD collected a total of a little over 2.7 million. More recently, over the last 3 years, the TDD has averaged 247,000 in revenue per year. Adding in an estimate for the newly developed property in the district, which includes a hotel, travel plaza, we project the TDD sales tax revenue to increase to 282,000 per year. We did, however, not include an estimate for the undeveloped property in that district. Based on these provisions, we agree that current annual TDD sales tax collections would support debt service, whether it be on bond issue or repayment of city idle funds for the partial Phase 2 project. Given the current balance of TDD sales tax since the retirement of the 2004 bonds, we project that repayment would be a term of about 1.5 years, and using city idle funds would be a cost savings of approximately $13,500 over a short-term GO debt. So options for this evening would be to adopt that resolution, number 2019-002, decline to adopt it, or provide us with other direction. Our recommendation and ask for this evening is for you to adopt that resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt resolution number 2019-002, authorizing the improvement or re-improvement of 41st Street within the city of Hays, Kansas, and providing for the payment of the costs thereof.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Jacobs, and a second by Commissioner Musil. Any questions or discussion?
I just, maybe for the city manager, after this is done, I mean, this tax goes off. I mean, there's no option to extend it after this.
The commission would have to take action, but more than likely it would go off. So unless the commission takes further action, it would go off.
So it could still, I mean.
When the district was set up, the Phase 2 improvements were called out with 3 possibilities.
Right.
Extending 41st Street to a specific point, creating Indian Trail from 41st to a specific point, or extending 43rd Street to a specific point to match up with Indian Trail. That was the only projects that were allowed. So we're recommending this project. If a future commission were to determine that there might be enough revenues to do one of the other projects, they could do that. But unless the city commission takes action to do that, the sales tax would drop off as soon as the bonds are paid off, or the notes paid off internally.
Kim, I appreciate your recommendation on the city idle funds. I think that's a great way to look at it, and I'm glad you analyzed it all the way around. That savings of $13,500 means a lot.
I'll be voting no again for the reasons I've already stated. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Passes 4-1.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Any comments, questions? Commissioner Melick? No?
No, and I want you to know that's 2 weeks in a row.
I'm marking it diligently on my calendar.
Thank you very much.
No?
Mr. Doherty, at a future work session, not urgent, may we discuss possible realignment of the intersections on Dillon's Vine, given traffic flow? From the comprehensive plan, there are suggestions for realigning Vine Street, particularly the signal, I believe, at
18.
and Vine. And that's it. Thank you.
And I don't have anything. I do believe that we're going to have an executive session, correct?
I would request an executive session to include the city commission, city attorney, Todd Powell at the city attorney's office, city manager, for a period not to exceed 15 minutes to discuss matters related to attorney-client privilege.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Melick, second by Commissioner Musil. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.